Everybody complains about politicians. Everybody says they suck.
Yeah!
Well, where do people think these politicians come from? They don't fall out of the sky. They don't pass through a membrane from another reality. They come from American parents and American families, American homes, American schools, American churches, American businesses, and American universities, and they're elected by American citizens. This is the best we can do, folks. This is what we have to offer. It's what our system produces.
I'm going to say a lot of things that may bother some of you, but please be patient. I'm not your enemy. During the question period, question the hell out of me. And if I fail to answer your question, say you didn't answer my question. Don't be polite. We have many people in government, politicians they call, and they say things people like to hear. They say that because it's the only way they can get elected. Because they say most of you are wrong in the way you brought up. They'll never make it. You understand that? So politicians say things people like to hear. If a politician discovered that the earth was round, if you want to get along with people and they all believe it was flat, you can say, folks, it's a little round and a little flat. You get along with most people. This isn't the business of science to get along with people. Our business is to say, if you believe the earth is flat, this is the evidence we have to show that it's round. Present the evidence. That's the best you can do. But when you cater to people's beliefs, you're holding back. You're dishonest. You're corrupt. That's why politicians can never be honest, because they depend on voting. They depend on people supporting them. It's not politicians that can solve problems. They have no technical capabilities. They don't know how to solve problems. Even if they were sincere, they don't know how to solve problems. It's the technicians that produce the desalination plants. It's the technicians that give you electricity, that give you motor vehicles, that heat your house and cool it in the summertime. It's technology that solves problems, not politics. Politics cannot solve problems because they're not trained to do so. What happens when the government finds there's going to be a bad hurricane? They tell you to leave your house because it's going to be dangerous. So I've stopped the cars and say, where are you going? I don't know, but I'm going. If the government built this, no hurricane can pick up an inverted cone. The air will whirl around it, but it can't lift the roof off. Do you understand that? The windows are like airplane windows. Airplanes travel 600 miles an hour, so you need to worry about the wind. Then there's a turbine. That is a unit that's blown around by the wind. That keeps all the food in the refrigerator going, and it keeps the lights going. But if you get a hurricane, you might get a power outage for a week. All the food spoils and all the refrigerators. Do you understand what I'm saying? This, if we made these all through Florida and use it during the week for recreation or public meetings or anything you want, this is what I mean by what do you do about it? It's not enough to criticize a country without offering a possible alternative. There are beds that come down all around here. There's food for so many hundred people, and you have them all through the West Indies, wherever there are tornadoes. Do you understand what I'm talking about? Not the government says you'll have to leave. Where the hell do you go? Instead of putting up a sign, drive carefully, slippery when wet, put abrasive in the highway so it's not slippery when wet. And if a person gets in a car and they're drunk and the car oscillates a great deal, there's a little pendulum that swings up and back, and that'll pull the car over to the side. Not a law solution. Put sonar and radar in automobiles so they can't hit one another. Man-made laws are attempts to deal with occurring problems, and not knowing how to solve them, they make a law. You can't find the answers by putting people of high moral character in government. You can only find the answers by innovation, by studying the systems and the problems, and working on methods of alleviating those problems, not through law. Law is when you don't have a method of solving a problem. If people steal or hurt one another, you say it's against the law to hurt somebody. Well, if a person doesn't have the means to live by, he's going to hurt somebody to get the money or whatever they need. So that isn't dealing with a problem. Law is really avoiding problems. It's just nailing a proclamation on the wall saying, you don't do this. You see, it doesn't work. In the long run, you might cause people to consider an action before they take it, but all laws come into existence because of scarcity. Always difficult to imagine that. When there's scarcity of water, people will steal it, remove it, if not for themselves, for their children. So all the laws in the world, but if you don't want people to steal water, you build an electric fence around the water. See, and this is the way you say, you don't need to put up a sign, don't steal water. But those people will die. So we don't want to do that. We don't want to build a fence around our country, say, this is the greatest country in the world, we're going to keep it that way. We depend on other countries. If we live to ourselves, I can assure you, we'll die of ourselves. Because if the Russians do nuclear testing and they dump radioactive stuff into the sea, or the Japanese, the world is one big place and the air moves around and the waters move. Therefore, living to yourself, your little isolated colony, your little culture that you want to build, your little city that you want to build of people with like-mindedness, all of that has no basis for survival. Because in the event of catastrophic failure, you will be invaded by the minorities if they don't have food, water, or the wherewithal to live. If you eradicate the conditions that generate what you call socially offensive behavior, it does not exist. The guy said, well, isn't that inborn? No, it's not. War, poverty, corruption, hunger, misery, human suffering will not change in a monetary system. That is, there'll be very little significant change. It's going to take the redesign of our culture, our values, and it has to be related to the carrying capacity of the earth, not some human opinion or some politician's notions of the way the world ought to be. I used to ask people, you think we'll ever get to the moon? Not in 1,000 years. Oh, do you study rockets? No. You study space travel? No. Well, how do you do that? Man should learn to say, you think we'll ever get to the moon? I don't know. Right. It's not my field, I don't know. Right. Do you think the world will live in peace and harmony someday? I don't know how that can be attained. That's what you say, I don't know.
Our thoughts and feelings are not fully under our own control. There may be much smarter and very different beings elsewhere. And on top of all this, we're making a mess of our planet and becoming a danger to ourselves. The trapdoor beneath our feet swings open. We find ourselves in bottomless freefall. We are lost in a great darkness, and there's no one to send out a search party. Given so harsh a reality, of course we're tempted to shut our eyes and pretend that we're safe and snug at home, that the fall is only a bad dream. If it takes a little myth and ritual to get us through a night that seems endless, who among us cannot sympathize and understand? We long to be here for a purpose, even though, despite much self-deception, none is evident. The significance of our lives and our fragile planet is then determined only by our own wisdom and courage. We are the custodians of life's meaning. We long for a parent to care for us, to forgive us our errors, to save us from our childish mistakes. But knowledge is preferable to ignorance. Better by far to embrace the hard truth than a reassuring fable. Modern science has been a voyage into the unknown, with a lesson in humility waiting at every stop. Our common sense intuitions can be mistaken. Our preferences don't count. We do not live in a privileged reference frame. If we crave some cosmic purpose, then let us find ourselves a worthy goal.